This is Project Audion, timeless audio dramas for modern times, created the classic way.
Hello, I'm Larry Groebe with the Generic Radio Workshop, and I'm here today with a riddle for you. What's black and white and red all over? I think you have to be of a certain age to know the answer to that riddle. It's a newspaper, which is no longer the vitally important part of American life that it once was. Oh, sure, you can still buy a newspaper somewhere if you really want to. But the time was, and it really wasn't that long ago, when newspapers were a really critical part of American culture. It's how we stayed updated every day, twice a day, maybe even more if the reporters were chasing a big story. Yeah, black and white and red all over. And the newspapermen themselves were considered fascinating creatures. Hard-driven, hard-bitten, sometimes hard-drinking, exposed to the lowest parts of society, and yet somehow miraculously rising above it all to crusade against vice and corruption and report back to their readers the truth as they saw it. And so in the 20th century, the newspapers became the colorful background for many a movie like The Front Page or a radio show like The Green Hornet, but also like today's episode of Project Audion. From the classic drama anthology Suspense, we're recreating one of the still lost episodes from June of 1950, an episode called Deadline. Deadline starred Broderick Crawford, who'd just come off a starring role in the Oscar-winning film All the King's Men. In that film, he'd been hounded by reporters. In this radio show, he is a reporter, actually an editor, whose real only goal is to increase circulation at any cost. He gets his wish. But what happens next? Well, there's a reason they call this radio series Suspense. So, have a seat, relax and enjoy as our talented vocal actors join us now to recreate this episode that hasn't been heard in decades. The episode of Suspense known as Deadline.
Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present Suspense. This is the Man in Black. Tonight, Autolite brings you Mr. Broderick Crawford in Deadline, a suspense play produced and edited by William Spear.
Mr. Wilcox, what shall I get my dad for Father's Day?
Father's Day? Why, my beauteous neighbor, get him something colossal, stupendous, magnificent, something absolutely unexcelled for quick starting, smoother performance, and gas mileage.
Oh, such as?
Autolite spark plugs. Because Autolite spark plugs are designed by the men who engineer complete ignition systems used as original equipment on many makes of America's finest cars. So naturally, they engineer Autolite spark plugs to work as a team with the coil, distributor, and all the other important parts of the ignition system.
So that's why you say they're ignition engineered.
Yes, Dora. And say, while you're at it, why not give Dad a set of the new Autolite resistor spark plugs? Why, they represent one of the greatest advances in spark plug designs for automotive use in the past 20 years.
Gee, thanks for the hint, Mr. Wilcox.
Oh, you're welcome, Dora. And you're welcome too, friends, at your Autolite spark plug dealer. Drive in tomorrow, have worn-out spark plugs replaced with ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs. Whether you choose the resistor type or the standard type, you can't buy better spark plugs for your car because you're always right with Autolite.
Now, with Deadline and the performance of Broderick Crawford, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
Yes?
We have Marty Rossini here, Mr. Bell.
Send him in.
This you can't do to me. Fine district attorney you are. What's the charge?
Down, Marty.
I want my mouthpiece.
Sure, Marty. Everything will be taken care of legally. No rough stuff. No extra legal methods.
What's the charge?
Have you read the story in today's Eagle?
Sure. Nothing but fiction, the whole thing.
Well, maybe.
Not a word of truth in it. You can't prove a thing.
Just the same, I'd like to have you read the story once again, Marty.
Look, I ain't eaten yet. And I always eat at 6:30.
Read the story first, Marty. Then we'll talk about dinner.
Give me the paper. Editor Bear's Gangland Chief, exclusive to the Eagle, by Julius Collins, managing editor. Chicago, July 15. This is the story of Marty Rossini, thief, crooked politician, murderer. It's also the
story of your
editor, Julius
Collins. For the two cannot be separated. I have always been a newspaper man, and to be a top editor has been a burning obsession. I also felt the means justified the end. Then one day I woke up to a fact. I was 40 and not yet editor of a great metropolitan daily. In a kind of panic, I wrote letters of application to the largest dailies in the country. They came back, "We're sorry, but..." Then somebody took me up on my offer. The owner invited me to drop in and see him if I happened to be in town. Timothy Lockhart was the owner's name, and he owned the Chicago Daily Eagle. The rusty, rotten building was being shaken to dust by the ancient presses, which rolled in its inmost insides. Tim Lockhart kept me waiting half an hour.
Say you. Yeah, what's your name? Mr. Lockhart will see you now.
Thank you. And incidentally, Miss What's-Your-Name, you're fired.
Huh?
When you see me come back out Mr. Lockhart's door, put on your hat and go home.
You're nuts.
Watch out for that 6th hole there, please.
6th what?
The 6th hole. A favorite, you see. The approach, you see, it crosses the worn spot in the carpet right there in front of the door. Little gizmos, these mechanical putting practice holes. You play golf?
I despise golf.
Good. Eagle can't support more than one golfer.
Sounds like I'm hired.
Yes? Oh, yes, all right. We do need a manager around here. Place is full of dead wood. You'll clean it all out, huh?
I've already started. I've just fired your secretary.
Oh, is that right? Oh, good. Martha was a terrible secretary. Not bad looking, though, huh?
What kind of salary are you prepared to pay me?
100 a week, all we can afford. But you put the Eagle in the black, and you write your own ticket.
That's what I wanted to hear you say, Mr. Lockhart. The Eagle will be the biggest little moneymaker in Chicago in just 2 years.
Good.
All right, Martha, put on your hat and go home. I took a tour of the plant to see what I'd have to work with. The stereotype machine must have been the inventor's model. Ink was ankle-deep in the press room. We had one teletype printer which brought in interesting items about hog and chicken prices, nothing you could call a news service. Our city staff was a pack of lazy clowns. There was only one answer. The one field in which the Eagle could excel was the reporting of crime. For crime news, we would need the best crime reporter in Chicago. I interviewed applicants for 3 days without pause. About 4:30, an unwashed, whiskery, lean, and hungry gentleman strolled into my office. His name was Lemuel Camp. I asked him, where you been working, Lem?
The Banner.
Quit?
Fired.
Why?
Well, I knew something they wanted to know, and I wouldn't tell
Why not?
them because they threatened to fire me if I didn't.
Well,
I'll tell you what it was I wouldn't tell them if you'll give me a job.
All right, you get the job. What wouldn't you tell them?
Well, I wouldn't tell them the name of the man who runs crime in Chicago.
Who is it?
3-year contract?
All right, I'll have one drawn up. Now, what's this man's name?
I'll tell you when I've looked over the contract.
What salary do you want?
$250 a week.
I'll give you a $150.
All right. Marty Rossini.
Marty Rossini. Where can I find him?
Oh, you don't want to find him.
Let me be the judge of that.
All right. Marty Rossini is the jukebox king of Chicago. He's a smooth operator. Never could get anything on him.
How do I get to see him, Lem?
Well, I guess that's up to me, too. Well, okay. And incidentally, Mr. Collins, we don't know each other well enough yet to go by first names. My name is Mr. Camp.
That afternoon, I threaded my way through a warehouse full of jukeboxes to the lair of Marty Rossini.
Quite a place I got here, don't you think? Some people object to there being no windows, but I don't like daylight where I work. On the south side where I learned to work, I always worked at night. Daylight makes me sleepy. What can I do for you, Mr. Collins?
You know I'm in the newspaper business?
Yeah, and I hate newspapers.
That's why I'm here, Marty, to promise you that the Eagle, that's my paper, will never give you any publicity you don't want, if we can get together.
You got an interesting slant, Mr. Collins. What can I do for you?
The only way my paper can make money, in fact, the only way it can exist, is to get a certain kind of news fast, faster than any other paper in town can get it. If I can give our readers crime news, murders...
You're terrible, ain't it, to think to go on?
Yeah, but if we could be tipped off soon enough before the police, if we could know what's going to happen in the underworld...
You used the funniest language talking to me, Mr. Collins. Crime? Underworld? Murder?
Marty, I'm offering you a fair trade. You tip me off, my paper will lay off you. We haggled for an hour and a half. You could see Marty was intrigued by the idea of having a newspaper on his side. Maybe his very fear of newspapers made the proposition fascinating. Still, he was a practical cuss and such an expert bargainer that I had to tip him off whenever we got any inside info from City Hall. Finally, Marty said, maybe. I waited for a week. Marty Rossini didn't call. I wanted to go see him again. Lem kept saying no.
You just sit tight and wait, Mr. Editor. That's all you can do. Now, you've made your proposition to Rossini. And if he wants to buy any part of it, he'll come after you. If he doesn't, nothing you can do with it.
Collins.
This is an old friend of a friend of yours, Mr. Collins. Now, don't interrupt me now, or I might forget what I got to say, which is this. If you be on the corner of Diversey and Anglin in 15 minutes exactly, you might see something. You park in the loading zone on the north side of the street. Keep your motor running and watch the third store in from the corner. And remember, I said keep your motor running.
Hello? Hey, wait a minute. Camp, grab a camera and come with me. Hey, Joe, hold page 1 for an extra. Stand by to remake the second page. We dove into my gray coupe and roared down the street like privileged characters. I followed the instructions to the letter. The third store from the corner was a small jewelry store. I parked in front. We didn't have long to wait.
Coming up to 15 minutes on the note.
What's that? See who was driving that long black hack?
Yeah, name's Phillips. Marty's right here.
Those two mugs went into the jewelry store.
You know, there's still time to get out of this, Mr. Editor. Uh-oh.
Look at that bird clean out the window. He knows what he's doing. Other lugs back in the safe, huh? Camp, hand me the camera. The camera, Lem. Never mind, here they come. Lock your door.
I think they're coming this way. All right, I'll open it.
Get going! Faster! Faster! Come on, faster! Gas! Give it the gas! Faster! Faster! All right, take a left here. Faster! Come on, faster! All right, okay, stop! Stop here, stop!
And good riddance.
They're heading for the big black car around the corner.
Well, Mr. Editor, it looks as though we're in this crime business right up to our scrawny, unwashed necks. The getaway car yet? What gives? Now where are we going? Police?
No, back to the office to write our first big crime story. The success of the Eagle dated from the day of the Diversey Street holdup and shooting. We scooped the other papers so bad they were ashamed to do more than barely mention the story. We pulled the same play on the April Fool's Day massacre and the Lady Jane jewelry heist. We had more crime news faster than any paper before or since. Marty kept the tip-offs rolling in regularly. We were able to do all our research long before obits and biographies were needed. And still, with it all, the thought that kept hounding me was, with my knowledge of what was about to happen, I could have prevented every one of those crimes.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Broderick Crawford in Deadline, tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Mr. Wilcox, how do I know my father's car needs new spark plugs?
Well, Dora, is his car hard to start?
Well, sometimes it sputters a little.
Does the motor sound a bit sluggish?
Wait, yes, it does.
Doesn't seem to have enough zip and power, I suppose.
That is exactly what Dad says.
Sounds to me like your dad's car might need new plugs. But just to be sure, drive around to your friendly Autolite spark plug dealer, and I'll have the spark plugs checked. He'll replace worn-out spark plugs with world-famous ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs. They're designed by Autolite engineers, the men who design spark plugs just as they design the coil, distributor, and all the other important parts of the ignition system to work together as a perfect team. That means Autolite spark plugs can't be beat for quick starting, smooth performance, and gas mileage.
Oh, I'm sure Dad'll like 'em, Mr. Wilcox.
And so will you, friends. See your friendly Autolite spark plug dealer tomorrow. And whether you choose the resistor type or the standard type, you can't buy better spark plugs for your car because you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings you back to our Hollywood soundstage and our star Broderick Crawford in Deadline, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Dealing with Marty Rossini was like climbing a greased pole out of a viper pit. If the need for caution hadn't occupied all my thoughts, I might have paid more attention to my conscience. As it was, there was an undercurrent of feeling running through me that made my food taste flat, and I didn't sleep as sound as I used to. But I read the circulation reports and saw the gain in circulation was miraculous, and I was the father of this miracle. And I was the managing editor of the great Metropolitan Daily. I was right where I'd always wanted to be, and I was happy as long as I didn't ask myself, did I pay too much to get here? All this time, the police, the DA, nobody suspected the connection between the Eagle and Marty Rossini. The only one who knew was Lem Camp. He didn't like the setup, but I was usually able to talk him down. and that gave me temporary relief from my conscience. It made me feel I must be in the right. Until one time, when nothing could have convinced me I was blameless. A thug named Bandini had been shot. Marty Rossini had done a clumsy job of covering his tracks, and the DA was sniffing around the edges of his empire. Marty summoned me to a personal conference.
Look, Collins, it's all very simple. If I'm run out of town, you're out of business.
Simple and direct, Marty.
Forget cracks. The important thing is this. The name of the guy who shot Bandini was Ferrento. Tony Ferrento did it.
I see. Ferrento is a kind of rival of yours, isn't he? Competition?
So Ferrento is a punk who don't know which side is buttered. Better he should burn before he gets too big for his britches.
I don't savvy, Marty.
Look, there is evidence. I'll tell you where to find the gun Bandini was shot with. The gun was Ferrento's fingerprints on it. There's more stuff, too.
You really think there's enough to frame him?
Frame? For a writer, you use the worst language, Collins. Look, let him take Ferrento and try him. So what if he's convicted? What's the difference? Once they try one bum for a crime and he's acquitted, they never drag anyone else up for a trial, huh?
Well, sometimes seem that way. All right, Marty. See what we can do. So the Eagle put the finger on Ferrento. They arrested him and brought him to trial, and even though he was acquitted, it was great for circulation. The DA raised the roof because I printed the evidence first before turning it over to him. I told him to go fry himself. That made a good story, too. Lem didn't think too much of the whole thing. He was in my office when the end began. Hello?
Collins? It's Marty himself.
Oh, hi, Marty.
Got a hot one for you. Your friend Ferrento is gonna get it this afternoon. 1:30 at Lippincott and Alden.
1:30? Kind of close, but I guess we can make it.
What time's your deadline?
1:40?
Good. You'll be there, huh?
I'll send my right hand down. Thanks, Marty.
1:30 and on schedule.
They're gonna rub out Ferrento. Kind of close. Job doesn't come off till 1:30. 10 minutes before deadline. Like to make first edition.
Well, Marty's your old pal, remember? Have him rearrange the schedule for you.
No, look, it'll be all right. Marty always operates right on schedule. We don't really need all the details of the shooting for the Bulldog. You've got all the background on Ferrento you'll ever need left over from the Bandini story.
Art. What do we do for art?
Dig around and find a pic of someone lying on his face in the gutter. Someone with a dark suit, a couple of coppers, out of focus, standing over him. Who'll know the difference?
I just wonder if there's any use in my going at all.
Oh, sure. Phone in any hot details. If we don't get him in the first Bulldog, we'll get him in the second.
Murder just gets to be a monotonous business, doesn't it? Well, still, I always get a little shaky, and I know I've got to watch.
The story of Ferrento's murder was set, cast, and on the presses by 1:30. Composing was standing by for a remake if necessary. I sat with one hand on the phone, waiting. At 1:35, I was still waiting. It hadn't rung by 1:40. There was still time to stop the presses, but there wasn't time by 2 o'clock. Then it was too late. The presses were turning, and in 15 minutes, the Bulldog edition would hit the street. Hello, who is it?
Mr. Editor, I'm afraid we've jumped the gun a bit. Only sign of Ferrento around here is a picture of him we can run alongside that phony shoot scene. Hey, listen to that newsboy self-paper.
Read all about it. Tony Ferrento killed in mob shooting. Exclusive to the Eagle. Read all about it.
You hear him all right? Kid's doing a good job.
Give him a prize or something. Goodbye. No sense in prolonging this conversation. The Eagle's washed up.
Hey, wait a minute. Here comes a customer. Holy Moses. Oh, no. Oh, things like this just don't happen. It's Tony Ferrento himself. He's buying a copy of the Eagle.
Don't just stand there. Get a picture. We'll feature it in the final.
Shut up. Two guys just walked up out of nowhere. They've got him walking, squeezed between them. Oh, they're getting in that big black car. Hey, look at him go. Sounded like a shot. Backfire, maybe? Oh, no, they took the corner pretty fast. The door flew open. Now there's somebody lying in the street.
It was no time at all before the DA called and wanted to know how come we broke the news of a murder an hour before it happened. There was talk of a grand jury investigation. Miles of copy and editorials were written, debating the right of a newspaper, with special reference to the Chicago Eagle, to keep the sources of its information confidential no matter what. We were heroes to everyone but our competition. And when the Chicago Banner stated flatly that we were financed by the underworld, our circulation jumped 75,000 in 1 week. The only thing that really worried me was that we hadn't heard a word from Marty Rossini in weeks and weeks and weeks.
You know what?
What?
I think we may have seen the last of Marty Rossini. Let's say he wanted to get rid of you. So he invented the Ferrento double cross in order to get us in so much hot water that we wouldn't want to have anything else to do with him.
You're too complicated.
Ingenious devil, isn't he? Mad dog genius.
Collins.
Listen, Collins, get your reporters out of my hair, see? I thought you wouldn't be bothering me no more. But now you got reporters swarming around me like ants. I want to step on them. I hate reporters. I just hate reporters.
But Marty, they're not my reporters.
No
What are you
argument.
talking-
Call them off, see? One more guy pops a flashbang in my face and I'm going to knock him off. Next, I'll knock you off.
Okay, Marty. Okay, calm down.
I should calm down? Wait till we calm you down, boy.
Sure, Marty.
Well, what's his trouble?
Mr. Rossini requests us to call our reporters off his trail.
Our reporters?
Oh, you know they're not ours, but...
Yeah. Well, some other sheep must have a lead on Rossini. You know, the Banner was awful curious.
All right, listen. This is what we'll do. You're fired.
What?
Shut up. We'll play it so the rest of the staff will think we're mad at each other. I'll give instructions for you to be paid off. Do whatever you do whenever you get fired. Go on a binge. Manage to run into somebody from the Banner. Find out if they're getting up a story on our bread and butter. If it isn't the Banner, find out who is. Got the idea? All right, let's argue. Listen, Camp, you take orders from me or you're through.
You can't intimidate me. I'll say what I mean, and I'll shout it from the top of the Board of Trade building if I feel like it.
Okay, that does it. Get out. You're fired.
Can't fire me, I quit.
Yes?
Grace, call accounting. Tell them to give Mr. Camp a check for 2 weeks' salary and mark it paid in full for services to date.
Yes, sir.
3 days later, Lem came back in looking as sad as only a man can who hasn't washed, shaved, slept, or changed clothes for 3 days.
Hiya, Mr. Editor.
Lem! Whatever happened to you, old man?
Mr. Editor.
Come over here and sit down, Lem. You look like you've been wrestling with a steamroller.
Yeah, that must have been what it was, steamroller.
What did you find out?
Well, after I left here, I went to one of them bleak little bars where reporters hang out. Ran into Mac, old friend of mine. Good old Mac. That dirty old filthy Mac.
Mac work for the Banner?
Well, yeah, he works for the Banner. I used to work for Mac. I told him I was ready to go back to work for him. Offered to tell him what I knew about all the crime in Chicago if he'd take me back. But he wouldn't. Said anything I knew was only half the story. Told me the banner was a story that's gonna knock the beak right off of our old bald eagle.
You mean he's got the story on Rossini and us?
Couldn't find out. Well, I guess I'll go home and get some sleep. Good night, Julius Collins, dirty old managing editor you.
Lem, wait a minute. You're not going home. We've got a job to do. We're gonna put out the hottest paper you've ever seen. You're gonna stay here and work till it's out.
But I'm tired.
Go out and drink coffee until you're in shape to go to work.
Well, what's up?
The Banner's got the story on Rossini, hasn't it? We're not gonna let the Banner beat us onto the streets with it, are we?
You can't mean it.
I do mean it. We're gonna publish a complete expose of Marty Rossini and his activities.
Do you know what'll happen to you, Mr. Editor?
I know exactly what'll happen to me, but I also know exactly what'll happen to Marty Rossini.
Well, I only have one last friendly word, Chumley. Cyanide's quicker.
And so Camp and I and half my staff stayed up all last night getting together stories on Marty Rossini you'll find elsewhere in today's edition of the Chicago Daily Eagle. In the first section, you'll find everything we know about Marty
Rossini. In the second section, you'll find everything we think we know about him. On the editorial page, you'll find our opinion of such parasites. It's 1:30 now. Deadline in 10 minutes. That's all. Just thought it might be refreshing to publish an intimate, candid account of the story behind the story. Know what I'm gonna do? Gonna sue him for slander.
Interesting story, though, don't you think, Marty?
Fiction. Nothing but cheap, trashy fiction. You can't prove a single one of them things he said about me.
No, guess you're right, Marty. We can't. Too bad, too.
Knows a way to trap me, huh? Well, guess I'll go get dinner, Mr. D.A. Wanna come along?
Marty, I've got something more I want you to read. The story you've just finished was in the first Bulldog edition. Here's an additional story that came out in the second edition. You haven't had time to read the second edition yet. A messenger brought it over to me as soon as it came off the press. It's the story marked with red pencil. As soon as we read it, we took the necessary action, part of which was finding you.
I've done enough reading.
After you read this second story, you'll know why you may not get out to dinner tonight. Read it.
My name is Lemuel King. I'm writing the follow-up story for the second edition, as ordered by my editor,
Julius Collins. And there's another reason for writing it. I've got a conscience too.
Well, the first edition's on the streets.
Well, when and where was the lightning strike?
I don't know.
You know, I just keep waiting to hear a big explosion. It'll be Rossini getting a look at your story in that first edition. I'll give him just about 5 more minutes.
Collins.
My good friend, Mr. Collins. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. I'd like to have a good heart-to-heart talk with my old friend. Can I pick you up when you're through work? Maybe we can have some dinner someplace.
All right. Good idea.
What time?
I've got to get a story in the second edition. Deadline's at 3:40. Pick me up here at 3:45.
Good. Plenty of time to go for a little ride before dinner.
What time do you want to eat?
Always eat at 6:30.
Okay. Be seeing you, Marty.
You can count on me.
Are you nuts? You are really going to him? Now look, you don't have to meet Marty. You can get all the protection you need from the DA.
I want to meet Marty. I don't want any protection. You see, Lem, up to this point, there's not a single charge that could be made to stick against Marty. Well, like I said before, now I know a way to get him.
And what's that?
We'll get him for murder.
Whose murder?
It'll put him away for good.
Now look, Mr.
Here's the story for the second edition. Don't let it out of the office until the paper is on the street. When it's out, be sure the DA gets a copy. Tell him to spread out a dragnet to apprehend Marty. He'll be about an hour and a half's drive from here. He's got to drive away through traffic so you can just about tell how far he'll be from his office. You see, I figured there's about 3 hours between the time Marty picks me up and the time he wants to be back for dinner. We'll drive for about an hour and a half and then...
Mr. Collins, a car just pulled up downstairs. It's Mr. Rossini, I believe.
Thank you.
Yeah, 3:45, right on schedule.
Good story, don't you think, Mr. Camp? And think of what it'll do for circulation. Well, that's about it. Good night, Mr. Camp.
Good night, Mr. Editor.
Good night, Grace.
Good night, Mr. Collins.
Good night, Tom. Night, Fred.
Well, Mr. Collins, right on time, I see.
Hello there, Marty. Hello, Phillips.
Nice afternoon, don't you think? Nice afternoon for a drive.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Broderick Crawford.
Mr. Wilcox, here's the card I wrote for Dad's gift. They say that you are always right, with spark plugs made by Autolite.
Wonderful, Dora. And tell Dad, too, that Autolite makes more than 400 products for cars, trucks, planes, and boats in 23 plants coast to coast. These include complete electrical systems used as original equipment on many makes of America's finest cars. Generators, coils, distributors, voltage regulators, wire and cable, starting motors, electric windshield wipers, all engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly, because they're a perfect team. So friends, if your Autolite-equipped car needs replacement parts, ask for and insist on Autolite original factory parts at your service station, car dealer, garage, or repair shop. Remember, you're always right with Autolite. Next Thursday for Suspense, our star will be Jack Carson. The play is called The 1,000,000th Joe, and it is, as we say,
a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Tonight's Suspense play was produced and edited by William Spear and directed by Norman MacDonald. Music for Suspense is composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. Deadline is an original play written for radio by John Monsos. Broderick Crawford appeared through the courtesy of Columbia Pictures, producers of No Sad Songs for Me, starring Margaret Sullivan, Wendell Corey, Vivica Lindfors. Don't forget, next Thursday, same time, Autolite will present Suspense. starring Jack Carson. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Well, that's a 30, a wrap on this edition of Project Audion. Our transcribed live cast featured Pete Lutz in Texas, Doug Fain in Kentucky, Richard Huitema in Florida, Scott McKinley in New Jersey, Pat Rosebank in Toronto, Canada, and Craig Wichman in New York. Production, direction, music, and sound patterns were by yours truly, Larry Groebe. We encourage you to like or share this show with others, and then check out our many other Project Audion productions, both for their visuals as well as their classic audio elements, on podcasts, YouTube, or the Project Audion website. And until next time, thanks for listening.
They're gonna rub out for rental. Coming close.
I'll get it out in a minute.
Lick your lips while I'm saying that line.
You know how to whistle, don't you?
Just put your lips together and blow.
Let your conscience be.
Kind of weak. Can somebody whistle for him?